Are you tired of the same old pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 3,000 hours of the best pro wrestling events from over 100 of the biggest names in the industry from over 15 countries around the globe. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
And welcome to the Thursday night AngryMarks.com, and we are angry tonight, pro wrestling and mixed martial arts podcast. So, fuck that owl, fuck New Japan, fuck WWE, go buy tickets to Double or Nothing. That's the show, thank you, and good night. No, wait, we still have to do a show. I can't end it there. So, let me start by introducing our special guest for the evening, the one and only Jonathan Gortright.
Nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm glad to be able to hopefully not stink up the joint while I'm here.
You can't stick up the joint any more than Jason feels they stunk it up at WrestleKingdom 13 in the Tokyo Dome.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2019 Turducken Award winner at AngryMarks.com is WrestleKingdom 13.
Well, Mr. Huckabee, do you agree with him? Tell us, Will.
It was not as exciting or as good as I thought it would be. There were some matches that just did not live up to the expectation.
No, and some disappointing results, especially for me personally, the main event. I'm going to be salty about that for a little while now. It's going to take some time before I get over it.
Like I said, I would give this show like a C or a C minus, which is fine if it's like King of Pro Wrestling or if it's like a show on the World Tag League. You can have an average show or a below average show. But for your January 4th show, you need to do a lot better than New Japan did.
Here's the problem. On a sliding scale of shit, this is like A+ compared to anything WWE has done in the last 6 months. But
well, you're setting the bar so low when you're judging by
That's what I was going to say.
Standards.
That's what you didn't let me finish. I was going to say on a sliding scale of shit, it would be an A+, but by New Japan standards, it is a C-.
Yes, yeah, I cannot grade New Japan by WWE standards because that is setting the bar way, way too low.
All right, I'm not denying that. In fact, like I said, if I had finished my thought, you would have figured out that's where I was going.
I mean, WWE is like radioactive, toxic shit that's inflected with the Black Plague. I mean,
Okay.
that's like the shit of shit.
Let's not be too hard on radioactive, toxic things, because I like the Toxic Avenger.
Chuds. WWE is chud shit.
Cannibal, humanoid, underground dweller, tried and escaped from the goddamn cellar.
Oh, nice that the chud reference is not lost on Stevie and Jonathan.
No, not at all. So, Jonathan, let's start with you since you're the guest tonight. We're going to go all the way back to the pre-show Gauntlet. What did you think of this match?
As Jason would say, it was a god-awful clusterfuck. I'm not going to say that I hated it per se, but when two of the teams get eliminated by a fucking roll-up by David Finlay, that kind of didn't exactly appeal to me so much. I did like at least one move, which was Hangman Page doing his little standing shooting star press into a shoulder block, and I was just like, holy shit. There were one or two moments like that, but the wrong team won as far as I was concerned. I mean, I love Taguchi and all that, but this should have been Suzuki-gun winning that, and, but yeah, it was just, not a bad way to start off a show, but it would have been much better served if they had done the Rambo, like they've done in previous Kingdoms.
Now, before we go to the... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I'm good.
Because I know Jason has some thoughts about the Rambo, and that's why I started to jump in when you said that. But I was just going to briefly note that when you saw the dissension between Page and his teammates in this match, I think that was a teaser for the fact that he was going to sign with All Elite this week. And indeed, we saw him at the press conference in Jacksonville where he had a confrontation with the bastard Pac. So That doesn't surprise me at all. They were basically setting the script to write him out of New Japan with this pre-show gauntlet. So, little details for the people paying attention. But now, over to Jason.
Yeah, one thing that bothered me about this match was that Chase Owens was not in the match, but Chase Owens played a very pivotal role in the match.
Which was also teasing something, the fact that Chase just signed a multi-year deal with New Japan.
If he's going to have that, I mean, why not just put him into the match? Find somebody else, find some people for him to team with, some Young Lions or somebody. But yes, I miss the Rambo. It's like in years past we had the Great Kabuki. We had Scott Norton.
Cheeseburger.
You know, hell, I even missed Cheeseburger. Yeah, I missed Cheeseburger. But this team of Taguchi and Makabe and Yano, it's like cross factions. I mean, that doesn't happen in New Japan. What is that all about?
Yeah, we need the NWO New Japan stable to come out for a pre-show Rambo. That's the kind of thing we love in this type of environment before WrestleKingdom 13.
I mean, that's like three different factions. You've got Taguchi Japan, you've got Grand Bash Heels, and you've got Chaos, and they're all teaming together. That makes no sense.
No.
This was a clusterfuck. Yes, Suzuki-gun should have won. Yes, they should have done the Rambo instead. And yeah, this wasn't even for the number 6-man tag team title. This was for the number 1 contendership to the title. It belongs on a pre-show, but it doesn't belong on the WrestleKingdom pre-show. I mean, this would have been good for a New Year's Dash pre-show match.
All right, just for the record, before I go to Will, let me give the results really quick. The first fall was Yuji Nagata, David Finlay, and Jeff Cobb defeating Takahashi, Hangman Page, and Marty Scurll. The second fall was Nagata, Finlay, and Cobb defeating Beretta, Chucky T, and Hiroku Goto. And the third fall was Minoru Suzuki, Davey Boy Smith Jr., and Lance Archer defeating Nagata, Finlay, and Cobb. So we finally got Finlay out of there. The fourth fall was Taguchi, Makabe, and Yano defeating Misu, Davey Boy, and Lance Archer. So
wouldn't be a Yano match without that nut shot.
Yeah, which I figured Will was going to address.
No, I'm gonna wait my time patiently as you people talk junk about this pre-show match.
What, you have no opinion on it whatsoever?
I have an incredible opinion about the entire pre-show, but I'm just gonna bide my time and wait.
I don't really understand what you're biding your time for, because we're gonna move on to other things. Why would you wait?
Okay, well, here's how I feel about the pre-show. First of all, it felt like this was a setup to something bigger. For me, myself personally, as somebody in the wrestling business, and then what we saw the next day for New Year's Dash, it's almost like it's going to end up being New Japan versus Bullet Club. Like every other stable, every other faction versus Bullet Club. Don't ask me why I feel that way. I just feel that way. I feel that because of what happened at New Year's Dash, what happened with Chase Owens turning on Marty and Adam Page and all them. I'm telling you, that's just how I feel. Yes.
Will, Jay Stevens is in the Naturals. What are you doing, man?
I meant to say Chase Owens. I always get their names confused. I don't know why. It's basically because I know both of them.
And Chase is going to call you out for that. I don't care which one of the two it is. They're both going to ride your ass for that.
Well, at least you can call them.
They probably will. Yeah, you say call them Cat Stevens. I once again, I didn't feel like the right team won. I felt like Suzuki-gun should have won. But now 2020 hindsight being what it is, I understand why they didn't. I did not like the team of Chucky T, Beretta, and I forgot the other guy's name. What's the other guy's name? Their team?
Goto.
Yeah. That team, it really felt, even though there was a couple of teams that felt thrown together, that team really felt thrown together.
Thank you.
There's no reason. Goto doesn't belong in the best friends. He's not part of that clique.
Yeah. Like, that team felt so thrown together. Like, there was somebody hurt. We just had to throw somebody in there. Who was the actual ended up winning? Was it Taguchi?
Yeah.
Yes, Makabe and Yano, which is why we were waiting for you to talk about the nut shot.
The nut shot. Yeah, we were talking about the nut shot.
I feel like they're turning the 6-man titles. If they're trying to make it a legit title, they failed miserably. Like, the finish for this match was so horrible. And even though I'm usually a Yano fan, if they're trying to make something serious, if they're trying to take this division seriously, the fact that, you know, they won by nut shot, the fact that Toriano and all of them are the number one contenders for the six-man titles is a total and complete joke.
The only way I would have liked,
to be fair,
the only way I would have liked this finish is if Yano went for the low blow on Harry Smith and he just stood there and looked at him and killed him. Then I would have loved it.
Sold it.
Yeah.
No. Just fuck you, Yano.
I would have much rather seen Yano get the pin on Minoru Suzuki, being the fact that they have such a great history. I would have much rather seen him get the pin on Suzuki instead.
Well, we got more between Taguchi and Suzuki than we did from any other two combination in this match.
Exactly. Well, but the thing is that we all know that Yano and Suzuki have, like, they had a credible, they have, like, history. What was it, last year G1 or last year all throughout New Japan, it was like Minoru Suzuki just wanted to kill Yano.
Well, Yano has always been Suzuki's kryptonite. That's, like you said, it's a story going back ages.
Exactly. Like, if there was going to be anybody that should have ate the pin, it should have been Toriano pinning Minoru Suzuki. And that way they can continue that storyline. But once again, like, as far as pre-show matches go, this was better than the WrestleMania Battle Royal, so I can't be too mad at it. I can be mad, but I can't be too mad.
All I can say is we put more thought into it in this discussion than they actually did booking it. So, moving on to Will Ospreay defeating Kota Ibushi to win the Never Openweight Championship, and we go back to Jonathan.
I will have to say that I had really high hopes for this match when I first heard, when I finally, Ibushi and Ospreay, that'll be cool. And it was a good, solid match. I can't rag on it too bad. It was a good, solid opener. I would have liked seeing Ibushi retaining, but, sometimes, you can't get what you want. But it went to another good wrestler. It was a good, like I said, good, solid opener. It's one of the Never Openweight Championships, one of my favorite belts in the New Japan. It went back to when Goto and Shibata fought for it. So I can't really complain about it. It was a good start.
Well, I have to complain slightly. Was it a good match? Yes. Did Will Ospreay not kill himself, which was my huge concern? Yes. But
that was true.
But Kota Ibushi got a concussion because of this match. And I'm still, in watching it, trying to pick out where exactly it was. Was it
the elbow? The back
was it
elbow.
the elbow to the back of the head, or was it when he got kicked in the head repeatedly? Because it could have been there, because he started bleeding from the nose and mouth during that.
Yeah, and it also doesn't help. He probably could have gotten it during when Ospreay used that finish on him, which I was just kind of like, I kind of,
Yeah, the Stormbreaker could have done it to him too, but it was either the kicks to the head or the elbow to the head, as far as I'm concerned.
I hope he recovers quickly, because Ibushi's one of my favorites, and I've already lost two of my favorites, in the last couple of years due to head injuries or neck injuries, being Shibata and Time Bomb, and I don't want to see another one get, permanently out.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir on that one, because I'm still hurting from Shibata having that blood clot to the brain that basically put him on the shelf permanently, and now led him being the trainer at the West Coast Dojo for New Japan, which I'm glad he's still making a living, but I miss seeing him in the ring, because he was one of the hardest hitting, most realistic looking wrestlers they had, and when he was holding that Never Openweight title, it meant something.
Yep, and then like I said, a couple of years ago when I watched my first WrestleKingdom, which was 11, that was my match of the year, which I know a lot of people were rolling their eyes going, what the fuck? Pardon my French. But I said Shibata and Goto did a damn good match, and from there I was a fan of Shibata, and of course, a few months later he had to get injured, and I was like, damn it. And
don't pardon your French on this show. We've got a mature rating on iTunes, so don't ever worry about it. Jason, speaking of which,
On the same card that you had Nakamura and Styles, that was my match of the year, and that also came from WrestleKingdom 11. I can't not deny that match. That was awesome. I mean, Gato was all right. Gato and Shibata was all right, but it was nothing like Nakamura Styles, and nothing ever will be. But with the Will Ospreay Kota Ibushi match, it's very telling for this entire show overall. This was my second favorite match of the night, and it failed to live up to my expectations. I mean, it was an okay match for these two. I was expecting more.
Well,
I've also heard that they wanted to have an angle where Ibushi was kind of carried off with an injury because Ibushi has history with both Tanahashi and with Kenny Omega, and they didn't want him interjecting into that match in the main event. So they wanted him to come out. I mean, I think the injury was legit, but I also think they wanted a working injury angle, too, to keep Kota Ibushi out of the main event.
yeah, I don't think they had to fake this injury. I think he legitimately took some stiff blows to the head.
I've seen Will Ospreay damn near kill himself in a New Japan ring. He didn't. That made Stevie happy, but I mean, kind of the theme for the entire night, I mean, with the exception of one match, nobody brought it like you should bring it. They didn't bring their A game, and these guys just did not bring their A game. They may have brought their B game, but I've seen better matches from both of these guys. That said, it was my second favorite match of the card.
All right.
Right guy won.
Yes, that's true. But
I mean, it does a lot for Will Ospreay, who can use this to springboard from the junior heavyweight division to the heavyweight division without actually having to declare right now, because this is an open weight champion and he can fight both junior heavyweights and heavyweights. So it's kind of the best of both worlds for Will Ospreay right now. This is what he needed. The right guy won, but they could have had a better match.
Well, before we go from Will Ospreay to Will Huckabee, it feels like Jonathan had a little more to say.
Oh, not really, but I will say that I am truly happy to see that Ospreay gets a hold of the belt, and I think that it opens up a lot of new territory for him. And I'm just, like I said, never open weight title's been one of my favorites because I get to see some of the more underutilized guys holding the belt, and usually they can help springboard them into other opportunities up on the card. So hey.
Mm-hmm. And on that note, Will, how did you feel about it?
First of all, this match gave me my first oh shit moment of the show when Kota Ibushi went for the Golden Triangle moonsault, and Ospreay's on the apron waiting for him and just gave him that horrific kick to the chest while he was upside down. That was my first. That was my first, oh shit moment. I actually, unlike you guys, this match actually lived up to the hype for me. I felt like it was going to be some hot flying. I thought there was going to be some very stiff strikes and kicks. I thought there was going to be some really cool reversals, and it gave me all that. Unlike you guys, I feel that Kota Ibushi got his bell rung in that corner spot when he went he was going to the top rope, and I think Ospreay kicked him or hit him or something, and he slipped and was over the turnpost, was over the ring post, and it looked like he didn't put his hands down, like he just whacked his head or whatever on the ring post. Because after that moment, because I think right after that he whacked his head on the ring post, and that's when Ospreay kicked him in the face and busted his nose in his mouth. Because it felt like after that moment.
That's what I was thinking too, Will. You're not wrong. I'm with you on that.
I think that after that moment, he was kind of on autopilot. As far as to me, it had probably the second most horrific in a good way finish, because that back fist or that back elbow to the back of his head, which was completely because
I wanted to ask you about that, Will. As a wrestler, when someone gives you a running back elbow like Ospreay did, is there any way to prepare for that? Is there any way to take that, or are you just taking pretty much a shoot elbow to the back of the head?
He didn't take a back. He really didn't take the elbow to the back of the head. If I can pull the curtain back a little bit for you guys, if you watch this slow motion, he actually hits the back of his head with his tricep, and he just followed all the way through. So it looked horrific, like holy shit, he just killed him. But it was completely safe. As far as being the guy taking that move, you just have to trust that the person you're in the ring with is going to take care of you, because we all know that the neck, and especially getting hit in the back of the neck and getting
I don't know. Yeah, I'm thinking you can still get your bell rung pretty good getting hit with the back of somebody's tricep in the back of the head.
I've definitely been hit. I've definitely taken a running forearm to the back of the head, hoping that the guy would take care of me, and he didn't. Luckily, I didn't have any lasting injuries, but it definitely rung my bell. But I don't think that was the move that actually hurt him. I think as far as the move went, Oscar was probably as safe as he possibly could be, while still looking as legit as he needs to be. It was a great match. It wasn't my favorite match. It wasn't my second favorite match, but it was definitely what I expected, and I definitely liked this match. I just felt, like I said before last week, I want to say this. Like I said last week, now that you guys have seen the entire WrestleKingdom, this match, and my wife Selena agreed with me, this match was in the wrong spot. This match should not have started the show because the next three matches did not live up to the hype.
Yeah, in hindsight,
you got.
No, well, I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. You were right, because in hindsight, this should have been like second or third from the top.
Exactly. I told you guys that this match is going to be too good to start the show.
They should have started the junior heavyweight title match first.
Speaking of junior heavyweight titles, we had Takagi and Bushi defeating Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado and Sho and Yo, Roppongi 3K, and they won the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Titles. Jonathan.
Once again, and then I'll echo what Jason was saying, when y'all did the preview for it, it was going to probably be a potential clusterfuck, and I have to agree that while it wasn't that bad of a muck, they had one tag team too many in the match. It should have either been Sho and Yo or Shingo and Bushi, Bushi, one or the other against the Kanemaru and Desperado, or if they were going to do the stupid three-way, they should have done it like old ECW style, where a guy gets pinned and gets eliminated, and then they can concentrate with the other two teams. That way, it's not a total, mess up. Because while I liked the team that won, because I'm an LIJ guy, I really didn't like seeing Sho and Yo, eating the pin on it when it should have been, I would have liked seeing Kanemaru getting that vicious finisher from Shingo. I mean, I got cringed. I was like, holy shit. And I was like, yep, this guy just went up up my ranks and favorite people to see. It was a solid match. It had some pretty cool moves and everything, but again, just way too many people. It should have just been 2 teams, not 3.
And it was way too fast, if you ask me.
That was going to be my comment, yeah.
Yeah, it went 7 minutes, and it felt like they were rushing to get everything in. So go ahead, Jason.
It did not even go 7 minutes. It was like 6 minutes and 50-some-odd seconds. But if you're going to have a 3-way match and you're going to make it a clusterfuck, give it more time than that. I mean, it barely had time to become a clusterfuck with how short it was. And yeah, with how short it was, you really didn't need to have 3 teams in there. You could have had a much better match in damn near 7 minutes with just Kanemaru and El Desperado taking on the LIJ team. And with it really, this was kind of the theme for the night. You'll see it echoed again in the heavyweight tag team match, where you really didn't need a 3rd team in there. You really didn't need a 3rd team in this one. And yeah, Takagi just, I don't know what he calls that move. I called it a Death Valley Michinoku driver, but it was sick. It was sick looking.
And how happy were you that Kanemaru missed the whiskey spot? The King of Boring style completely failed.
That it's always awesome when he misses that.
I knew that would please you. Will, how did you feel?
I feel that we have a new murderous uncle. I guess I feel like with Shingo's performance, he should definitely be in Suzuki-gun. He should be known as Suzuki's nephew. Like, Jesus, he was brutal in this match, man. Those chops, that finish. I do agree that this probably should have been the old ECW gimmick, where there should have been an elimination match and had King of Boring style and Desperado get eliminated at first, and then it had them eliminate in like 2, maybe 3 minutes, and then gave the other 4 minutes to the other 2 teams. It did feel kind of rushed. And I understand that spot where guys, like, we had this super huge card and we want to give the semi and the main all the time that they really deserve and need. But I feel like they could have taken a breath at one point during this match and just let things settle before they went back to being balls to the wall. It was probably the better of the 2 triple threat tag team matches, in my opinion, mainly based on the performance of Shingo.
All right, Jason, going back to you real quick before we move on, was that the three-way dance where it was one person gets eliminated and then the other two continue?
Yeah, I mean, from watching ECW, that's the only kind of three-way match that I ever knew was an elimination style one. It was never first fall to a finish. That's something that really confused me when I first started watching WWE and all their or WWF, I guess at the time, and all their three-way matches were first fall to a finish. I'm like, what's this shit? I was used to ECW, where first fall eliminates somebody and then it's just the two that are left.
Right.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. My personal favorite was Masato Tanaka, Taz, and Mike Awesome.
That was
when
a
they
good
did
one.
it. Yeah.
Was that the one where Mike Awesome took that sick-ass bump through the table?
Probably, but then again, there's been several matches where... Yeah.
Well,
That's every Mike Awesome and ECW match.
Okay, true, but I remember one in particular that was a three-way dance where I just thought he was fucking dead when he went through that table.
Yeah, I think that might have been, but...
It was either that or it was the world title match between him and Tanaka, one and the other.
Oh, God, those guys had some barn burners back in the day.
Yeah, it's shortening their lifespan, barn burners, by sure. I mean,
yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, Mike Awesome's no longer with us. May he rest in peace. But
I'm just remembering the match where Super Crazy put Tajiri through a table and Joey Styles goes, "Ay, Dios mío!"
Yeah, well, he wasn't wrong to scream, "Oh my God," in any language for that. But now we move on to something we all suspected was going to happen before this card took place. Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Tomohiro Ishii to win the Revolution Pro Wrestling British Heavyweight title. And again, Jonathan, we start with you.
I like both guys, but to paraphrase somebody else that has mentioned, Ishii's my spirit animal, and I love it when the refrigerator would run right through Zack Sabre Jr. And these two have had damn good matches in the past. This was another good, solid one. And I was glad to see that they kept up with the whole thing with Zach being the submission specialist, and just having a couple of times where you're like, well, Ishii just got pissed. He's gonna not take any damage now. And then the end was pretty good. It was a good, solid, match with him tapping out. It reminded me of the ROH TV title match between him and Bobby Fish, and the only way you can beat Ishii other than just outlasting him in a brawl is you got to figure out a way to just make him tap out. And I thought it was a good, solid match. It was just weird seeing a non IWGP title on the line. And I'm sorry, but I prefer the belt when it was coming in and to the belt that was going out. I think the Rev Pro belt, the original one, I guess you could say, I preferred it over the newer one that they gave Zach. But it was a good solid match. That probably should have been the opener for the show, if not the junior heavyweight tag match. But I wasn't disappointed. The right person won, and I'm sure Ishii will get that title back later on down the line if they don't decide to let him actually have a run with a New Japan belt.
Two takeaways from this before I go to Jason. First, I do agree with you that the title looked better before. I don't think they needed to change it, but whatever. Second, I really like the storytelling with Zack Sabre working over the right arm at every opportunity and it leading to the finish. That is the kind of storytelling that is so plainly missed when you watch WWE. They don't work to a finish anymore. Every finish is just somebody hits their finishing move, like the RKO out of nowhere. Like, no, why don't you work to set up a finish and then apply it or hit it? That's what we're missing, and that's what
ring psychology and good old-fashioned storytelling that way. And I applaud both guys in this match. I mean, Zack Sabre Jr. I've always liked. I mean, but of the three British wrestlers that I got to follow over the last couple of years, of the three, he was my least favorite. But as the years have gone on, he's become more and more my favorite. I guess it might help that Taka Michinoku has been giving him that nice upsell on every match that they have with him. But it just, I'm glad to see him finally starting to really notch it up a bit, and that they're actually using him correctly.
I feel like his star has been on the rise ever since the J-Cup last year, and I feel it continues here with this win. So, Jason, how about you?
Let me start with the one positive thing that I will say about this match, and that is that the fans cared about it a lot more than previous non-IWGP, non-New Japan titles on WrestleKingdom shows. When you had Adam Cole and when you had Jay Lethal defending the ROH title, you got crickets from the New Japan fans. But you want to do a non-New Japan title, this is the way you do it. You put in two guys that are over with the crowd, like Ishii and Zack Sabre Jr., and the fans are going to be into it. Unfortunately, that is the best thing that I have to say about this match, because to me, the most interesting thing about this match was the very, very, very silver hair that Taka Michinoku came to the ring with. I mean, that was just bizarre. I mean, it was like he was going for like a Pai Mei look or something, but he had just like painted silver hair when he accompanied Zack to the ring. It was like, what the fuck is going on here? I mean, I've seen Ishii before. I've seen Zack Sabre before. I've seen them fight each other before. And this was just very paint by numbers and very average, and it was just kind of meh. And it just wasn't the best effort I've seen from Ishii. It wasn't the best effort I've seen from Zack Sabre Jr. I've seen them have better matches against other people. I've seen them have better matches against each other. And for a match at Wrestle Kingdom, it just did not live up to what it should have been.
Wow. Okay, so we're all over the map on this one. Will, you have to bring it home. Split this up and decide whether it was good or not.
It was not good. I'm agreeing with Jason. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I expected more from this match. I feel like, Jason, I've seen them have, you guys remember, all last year, I was saying that Ishii is the gatekeeper to the top of the card. Like, if you want to make it to the Intercontinental title or the IWGP Heavyweight title, you have to go through Ishii. And this was not the Ishii that I've come to love or nor come to expect. This is not the Zack Sabre Jr. that has been showing out and having great matches, show in and show out and stuff. This is not the Zack Sabre Jr. that won the New Japan Cup last year. It was I have to agree, like, word for word with Jason. Like, this was a very paint by numbers match. And maybe it's just because we all knew that Zack Sabre Jr. was going to win the match. With that being said, they still could have. There was no sense of urgency in this match. I think because we already knew what the finish was going to be. They already knew what the finish was going to be. They decided to call it in. I'm not sure. But this match was one of my bigger disappointments of the show. I felt like this was going to be a really good match, and I did not get. I felt like this match did not give me my money's worth.
All right. I have to go first this time instead of Jonathan because as the resident evil mark of this podcast, you knew I was going to be happy to see Evil and Sonata defeating Tama Tonga and Tongaloa and the Young Bucks. So, I'm completely biased and I make no apologies for it. But nonetheless, seeing Evil and Sonata hit the Magic Killer and Sonata hit a moonsault to get the pin, I was thoroughly pleased. Jonathan, what do you have to say?
Oh, I was happy with this with who won. Because I've stated in the past with you guys on Messenger and Facebook where all I think of Tama Tonga and Tongaloa are just the glorified versions of the Usos. You could interchange them for me, and I probably wouldn't notice the difference. I've just never been a Gorillas of Destruction person. Again, though, it was the too many people in a match. It should have just been two tag teams. But I'm glad to see that the Young Bucks were able to pull off some of their moves and go out on a fairly high note, even though they lost. And the team that I wanted to see win won. And I got to say something about that entrance for Evil and Sonata. I mean, oh my God! Just when I thought Evil couldn't top his costumes in the past, that hologram spinning pentagram thing, I was just like, oh boy. And I was like, I know Stevie J's going to say something about that one. And
I don't have to, you just did for me.
You putting together your Halloween costume now, Steve? Are you out looking for a laser pentagram shield there?
Yeah, I'm going to have to see if I can find that, but I don't think it's going to be easy to acquire.
But
that was pretty badass. I mean, yeah, one thing I really enjoyed about this match were the entrance, and LIJ, especially when Evil comes out, never fails to impress with their entrances, and this was no exception. And then, oh my God, what the fuck was Jado doing? He came out in like Uncle Fester undead not just face paint, but his entire head was painted.
Like he was trying to channel Papa Shango meeting a shocker trooper from an old Kamen Rider series, and I just was like, the hell? I mean, I know you're Bullet Club now, but what the... Okay, I was like, well, I know it's not Gato because Gato's got the fake beard, but, it just...
It took me until Japanese commentary said it was Giotto for me to realize that was Giotto. At first I'm like, wait, are they bringing like Seven back? What are they doing?
And the one thing I was not expecting tonight, and I should have been since Jonathan's joining us, is a Kamen Rider reference. So congratulations, you actually put one over on me. I was not ready for that.
Well, I appreciate that. You're welcome.
Well, my big point of contention with this, though, is that the Young Bucks kind of interjected their way into this match after Evil and Sonata won World Tag League, and the Young Bucks just got put into this match because they're the Young Bucks, but the Young Bucks are leaving New Japan, at least in storyline anyway, and, are done with New Japan. Why the hell did they need to insert themselves into this match? There was no reason for the Young Bucks to be in there. Granted, they ate the pin, but you could have had a much better match and a much better story told with Sonata and Evil, who won World Tag League, going against the champions, Guerrillas of Destiny. The Young Bucks did not add anything to this match.
Well, call it a conspiracy theory on my part, and we're going to get into All Elite Wrestling later on, but I feel like New Japan and All Elite are going to find out a way to have a working relationship, and so that's why the Young Bucks got to look strong.
I don't know.
Is it my turn
kind
now?
of done with their stick, but yeah, go ahead, Will.
Yes, Will, it's your turn now.
First of all, I hate you know me. I'm always nice to our guests, but I'm gonna have to leave that for a second. Jonathan, you are out of your freaking mind. Okay, the Guerrillas of Destiny are nothing like the Usos. I will admit that when they're on, they're on, and when they're off, they're off. And I was surprisingly enough, that night on WrestleKingdom, they were on. I love their entrances. I love the fact that they basically came out serious. I love, instead of Tama Tonga being the bad guy, I'm digging the good guy Tama Tonga gimmick right now.
Well, go ahead, sir. I didn't mean to interrupt you. No, I always, GOD, like you said, depends on how they are. If they're on, they are pretty entertaining to watch. It's just, to me, they just don't always do it for me. And that's just me. They just seem too WWE style for me for New Japan. If that makes any sense, that's the reason why I say that. And I've told that to friends of mine that you can interchange them with the Usos, and you probably wouldn't notice the difference. And I don't know. It's just how they strike me. But like you said, when they're on, they're on.
Stevie, we're going to have to start drug testing our guests before they come on this damn show.
That's too, was that, with this whole good guy persona that Tama Tonga has been pulling, I mean, basically that essentially, for all intents and purposes, took Guerrillas of Destiny out of this match. Guerrillas of Destiny were not really involved in this match at all. It was a match between the Young Bucks and Sonata and Evil, with Guerrillas of Destiny just kind of standing around on the outside.
Yeah, my only beef with this match is, once again, I have to agree with Jason, is the fact that the Young Bucks had interjected themselves to this match. And I understand that, everybody kind of knew that they were leaving New Japan. This may or may not have been their last WrestleKingdom. But I did not like the fact that they interjected, that they were in this match for the tag team titles. We already knew they weren't going to win, and they took up space. In a match where there was not a lot of space to give, I guess, for lack of a better term. I think I would have enjoyed this match a lot more if it would have been Evil and Sonata versus the GOD. Because, like I said, between those two teams, their entrances were spot on. Those entrances were two of the better entrances. Not my favorite entrance of the night, but definitely two of the better entrances of the show. And all four of those guys were on, and I just felt like the Young Bucks just did their usual Young Buck shtick that didn't really add to the match whatsoever.
Well, I can't argue with that. I agree it should have been a two-way, two teams instead of a three-way with three teams. It would have been better, but that's not the way this goes, because New Japan tries to get as many people as they can on a Wrestle Kingdom card, which leads to things like that. But at least the next match was a straight-up one-on-one. And again, saw it coming, wasn't surprised, Juice Robinson defeated Cody Rhodes to win the United States title. Jonathan.
And I'm going to say thank God for that. It was, I mean, much as I love Cody, and I know that, and I love he has improved by leaps and bounds over the last couple of years. It was nice to see Juice finally getting that monkey off his back, so to speak, where he was finally able to beat him fair and square for the belt. And the fact that he did 2 Pulp Frictions, just the way he was just nailing them like he was being sadistic, getting all those years of frustration nailed out on Cody. And Cody, played up the whole heel shtick, like he normally does, and Brandy getting involved. I wouldn't be averse to having Brandy, spearing me in the middle of the ring if it came down to it. Juice, along with another gentleman that we'll be talking about, later on in one of the matches, has really stepped up his game and really impressed me over the last year. And now if they can just keep him from getting stuck with the dead weight known as David Finlay, I think he'll be that much better. The only bad thing I have to say about this match is how much the U.S. title has dropped in value, so to speak, because it started out as a higher profile with Omega holding it, and to a little bit of a lesser extent, Jay White. And I don't mean to disrespect Juice by any means, but it's the U.S. belt has kind of dropped down to about the same level as the openweight belt, in my opinion. And I know they were trying to have that be a little bit of a higher status title. But I think the right person won, and I think that, if he gets a little bit more seasoning, I think Juice will have a good run with it, and it might bring the value up for both of them. He needed the belt. I'm not going to say that the belt needed him. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I want to further that by saying if ever there was a time for them to rehabilitate this title, it should start right now with Juice Robinson. That's their best opportunity to make this title mean something. And furthermore, to elaborate on what you said about getting hit with a spear from Brandy Rhodes, that was the point where this match kicked into second gear, because immediately after that, Cody went for the crossroads and got a near fall. To me, it was like that was the spot where the match suddenly kicked into let's go balls to the walls from this point on. And like you said, we got the 2 Pulp Frictions after that. And the second one, after Cody slapped him and started taunting him, that was the oh, fuck you, Pulp Friction. That was like, you're going to eat this.
And it sold, they both sold the storyline that, that had been built from Cody's first match, from a couple of years ago at WrestleKingdom. And finally capping it off with Juice finally getting the monkey off his back by beating him, for the belt.
Yes. It was honestly, on a show where we've got a lot of negatives, I thought it was a beautiful story, but let's see if Jason agrees.
This was my least favorite match.
Oh, damn it.
What a shock.
This was my least favorite run, and the reason was because of the hokey WWE westernized bullshit of Brandy interfering in the match and Tiger Hattori fucking up, kicking her out of the match. No, with the Young Bucks leaving, with Cody leaving, with Kenny Omega leaving, this is the kind of WWE westernized bullshit that I hope gets cut out of New Japan altogether. Brandy added nothing to this match. Brandy took away from the match by interjecting this hokey WWE nonsense into a New Japan match. You could have had a just fine match between Cody and Juice Robinson with no interference. Cody can work well enough as a heel. He doesn't need his wife to come in and do his dirty work and turn this into some WWE carnival shenanigans. I mean, yeah, it won, but there was no kind of pacing to this match whatsoever. It was way off. There were 2 Pulp Frictions that were hit, but Juice took forever to pin Cody after he hit the second one, and it didn't feel like it was going to be the finish, and it was, and that just kind of was the shit icing on the fecal cake that was the pacing of this match.
Ouch.
Well, I guess we can't disagree more on this one, so it's going to be over to Will to settle this again.
I feel like me and Jason are turning into a tag team tonight or something.
Holy shit, man.
All right, it's 2-on-2. Jonathan, it's you and me against Will and Jason.
Oh no.
Well, obviously we're going to win, but Jason has his vegan powers, and I'm damn near 300 pounds. Once again, least favorite match. I cannot emphasize this more. Least favorite match of the night. This should have been the match that started the show off, which is what I said last week. Because if any match that should start, it should be Cody and Juice. I said that. Hopefully, once again, you guys can say, "Will, you're right." There was, first of all, there's a list of reasons why I did not like this match, and I'll just go down the list. Brandy spearing Juice Robinson was complete and total bullshit. If she should have went for the spear, he should have caught her and powerbombed the shit out of her, and then had Cody flip out and get super aggressive. Whatever. Like, I did not like the fact of a 140-pound female spearing a 200-plus pound male, and then he sell it like it was her husband. Complete and total. In the words of Jim Cornette, that's some outlaw mud show bullshit. Did not like the two. What's Juice's fucking finisher's name? What's his finisher?
Pump friction.
Pump friction.
I did not like the fact that it took him 2 pump frictions to beat Cody. For the longest time when he first got there, it was the same as, the one-wing angel. It's, hey, if Juice Robinson hits the pump friction, that's it. Nobody kicks out of that. And the fact that of all the people that takes 2 pump frictions to beat, it's going to be Cody. Like, get the F out of here. I did not like the pacing of the match. Up until this match, I thought Cody was doing a really good job going from the WWE style of wrestling to the more universal, I guess, indie-rific style of wrestling. I thought that he was really getting away from being a WWE style wrestler, and he just went right back to that in this match. I'm getting, like Jason said, I'm really getting tired of Brandy interrupting in every match. You would think somebody would get smart like Magnus and bring in, their own female heater or whatever. But of course, everybody just assumes she's going to stay out of the way. Like, when is enough enough? Like, why does every show and every match that he's in, she has to get involved some kind of freaking way in a spot that makes absolutely no fucking sense? We saw when he had to wrestle Magnus for the NWA World Heavyweight title, she took an elbow drop off the top rope. She shouldn't carry down the fucking stretcher. In this match, she should have ran the Juice, and it should have been like her hitting a brick freaking wall. This match was if I can say this, and I mean this with all due respect, for a New Japan WrestleKingdom show, this match was the drizzling shit.
I'm sorry.
Will,
I know we're called the Angry Marks, but you sound like such a fucking mark right now.
It's because, here's the reason why. It's because the first time Juice Robinson won the IWGP US title, we were all excited. We were like, hell yeah, Juice won the title. Like, he's finally going up the card. And then he won this time, and you're kind of like, oh, all right, whatever. Juice deserves more than that. He deserves a better reaction to what he got. Like, I felt like Cody did a shit job of putting him over. I felt like they did a shit job of putting this match together. I think he did a shit job of selling for fucking Juice Robinson. I think that he although he did the favor before he walked out the door, he begrudgingly did the favor for Juice before he walked out the door.
I just don't feel that way, and I think we're just going to have to move on because you're never going to see Brandy again, so take some solace in that. She is the chief branding officer of AEW now, so you don't have to deal with it if you don't like it, and Jason doesn't either. So
yeah, send this match to Greatest Royal Rumble. It doesn't belong in New Japan.
All right. Well, Jason, I was going to you anyway, so it's your turn to start this time with Switchblade Jay White finally defeating Kazuchika Okada in a Tokyo Dome match.
You skipped a match.
I did? What did I skip?
Yeah. The junior heavyweight.
The junior heavyweight match.
I'm sorry, you're right. Well, okay, do you want to talk about Ishimori defeating Kushida for the junior heavyweight title?
I will, and yeah, for once I'm not going to shit all over Kushida, I'm going to shit all over the booking. I mean, this was a fine match, and Ishimori won the match with the bloody cross out of nowhere, but the problem with this match is...
bloody cross out of nowhere!
The problem with this match is it never got a chance to take off. It never got a chance to turn into a junior heavyweight championship match. We never got to see either guy, demonstrate what it is to be a New Japan junior heavyweight. It was just kind of a match that was very ground-based, that was won out of nowhere by Ishimori, and the right guy won, but it did not exemplify what it is to be a New Japan junior heavyweight, and I had a big problem with that. I hope going forward that with Ishimori as a champion, we'll see more of that junior heavyweight style on display, but there was none of that here in this match.
Wait a minute. He hit a 450, and Kushida hit a flying armbar at the same time. You're telling me that wasn't like junior heavyweight style?
No, it was not. You know what was junior heavyweight style? That little kid wearing the big head Kushida mask. That was junior heavyweight. That was hella creepy. I was watching that at it must have been 5 in the morning there when we were watching that, Will? That was creepy as hell.
Yeah, it was definitely fun.
What the hell am I watching?
I don't know.
I actually, this was probably my favorite entrance of the night, just because it was so creepy. And then Taguchi playing Doc was just even creepier. But that little kid with the Kushida mask was just oh God, what the hell?
That was freaky.
I actually liked this match. I'm either disagree with Jason. I actually like this match. I actually like the idea of.
All right,
I actually like the idea that not
the
all
teams have switched. I'm now on team with Will.
I like the idea that not all junior heavyweights have to be high flyers. I love the fact that every once in a while you have to have a Dean Malenko. You have to have a ground and pound junior heavyweight who although he can fly, he doesn't have to because he's just bigger and stronger than everybody else. And I was really looking forward to seeing what the dynamic was going to be versus Kushida. And damn it, I can't. I'm having a hard time with names tonight.
Too many concussions.
That might be what it is. But I was really looking forward to seeing this dynamic. I think, and Jason, you have to admit, I know you don't like Kushida, and I know you're probably glad that he's leaving New Japan. You have to admit that for this to probably be his last WrestleKingdom, that he really did a great job of putting him over. I think that this was probably one of his better matches in recent history. And I think that the finish was super clean. I think that they did overall. I think they did a really good job, and I think they deserve to be closer to the top of the card.
Yeah, my only problem with the finish was it came too soon. They didn't give this match nearly enough time.
Well, that's probably because the next match went almost 15. But Jonathan's got to talk about this one first.
Well, I will say this: it's not one of my favorite matches with Kushida in it. That would probably go with some of his matches with Hiroshi, Tanahashi or Takahashi. Sorry, Time Bomb. Those were some of my favorites, but is it me or is Ishimori smaller than Rey Mysterio but bigger?
Yeah,
he's 3'6".
Yeah, but muscular
it's
and
all
strong
muscle.
as hell.
Shredded,
Yeah. But
he's broad and thick.
Yeah. But I will say this: I love him. I love Ishimori coming out, wearing the Bone Soldier mask. I mean, if you're going to have a guy be Bone Soldier, this is the guy to do it, and he can kick ass, take names. He's now the new junior heavyweight title, and I agree. I'm glad to see that they had more of a grounded style. I also agree it might have been a little bit short, where it didn't get a chance to get more, organically going with more aerial stuff. But like you said, you got to have that Dean Malenko style in there, with one of the wrestlers, just to change things up a little bit. I agree. If this is Kushida's last Wrestle Kingdom match, he went out on a high note. He put the man over clean, and damn it, I like Ishimori. He's one of the few people of the new Bullet Club, that has come in that I've actually really, really enjoy watching. And there's really not much else I can say. It was a good, solid match. Just not as good as it could have been, but that seems to be the story of the entire card so far. In some form or another.
It is a running theme, which is why I figured Jason was going to rag on Jay White and Okada, but I jumped the gun on that. Now it's time to actually do that.
As I said in my review that I wrote for AngryMarks.com, check it out. This was a good match, but it wasn't WrestleKingdom good, which was a theme for the night. I mean, the right guy won. We knew it was going to happen. It was good to see Okada, ditch the stupid balloon Kool-Aid hair,
and come
whatever
out
the hell
in real wrestling trunks.
Yes, he came back out in the real Okada gear with real Okada hair.
It was
he
the
gave out
real
some real Okada
Rainmaker.
music too. So it was good to see Okada back. It was good to see Okada no-sell the attack from Gato and just kick Gato in the gut and toss him over the guardrail and planche onto him and Jay White. I mean, that was fun. It was fun to see Jay White hit the rock bottom, also known as an Uranagi on Okada. That was fun to see, too. I mean, it was an okay match, but again, I didn't feel like it was a Wrestle Kingdom match. It didn't feel like Jay White or Okada brought their A-game.
I don't know. I mean,
Okay. I'm good.
Will,
go ahead,
yeah,
Steve,
Will,
sorry.
you go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'll wait.
Okay, I'm going to have to agree yet disagree with Jason. I feel like Jay White bought his A-plus game. That dude is on freaking fire. Like, if you're going to start a promotion, that's the pony you want to hook your card onto. I feel like the problems with this match was Okada. Although we had, Okada coming out looking like the Rainmaker, he was not working like the Rainmaker. There was not that sense of aggression. There was not that sense of urgency, which I'm going to say repeatedly over and over again through this podcast. There wasn't a sense of urgency. There wasn't the aggression. We didn't see the angry Okada like when he was wrestling when he was in a feud with Tanahashi. We didn't see, the super indie Okada like when he was working with Kenny Omega. We saw Tanahashi. We saw the okay, I'm working with this green kid. I'm not going to hurt myself, Okada. Overall, though, this match was really good. And Jason, I don't know how you feel, but the finishing sequence to this match, where they were trying to go back and forth between
Rainmakers and Blade Runners, back and forth. Yeah, it was great.
Like, that back and forth finish was so freaking amazing.
That's happened with Okada before. I mean, it was like Okada's downfall was going for the second Rainmaker, and we've seen that before, and that was a nice touch. It was kind of a callback to a previous Okada match.
Yeah, like it was the back and forth. Like, I love the finish and the go home to this match. But I feel like Jay White really brought it. I feel like this guy's probably the best performer in New Japan right now on a consistent basis, and it might just be the quality of guys that he's been in the ring with. I'm not sure. But I just feel like Okada might have been a little bit off. I feel like he might have been hanging out in Roppongi or whatever the night before and had too many shots of sake.
Yeah, he was out there with Rocky Romero and Roppongi 3K having a good old time. But either way, I agree with you, Will.
Poisoning.
I totally agree because I feel like Jay White did bring his A game. I thought like this showed why they gave him a 3-year contract. I feel like they trust him going forward to be one of their top gaijins. And I think this match with Okada putting him over clean with the finish, it shows that they believe in Jay White as the future. He is like their new Kenny Omega. Jonathan, what do you say?
I'm like I was saying about, when I was talking about Juice earlier, one of the two people, this is the other second person of that has impressed me over the year. I was not impressed when he came back as Switchblade at first. And I was like, okay, give me a break. I just can't see it. As the year has went along and he was progressing in Chaos, doing his, machinations behind him, trying to take over from Okada, and each match he was getting better, and when he finally pulled the trigger and had him turn on Okada, had all that going on, damn, you got one of the top guys in the organization right now. He has stepped up his game, and I will agree with Mr. Huckabee over there. He brought his A-plus game, and showing that, yep, we've got the next Kenny Omega, if not necessarily quite up to that level yet, but he's getting there. That final few minutes where it was the back and forth with the attempt at the Rainmaker and the Blade Runner, oh my God, I was just like, holy shit. And then they hit that Blade Runner out of nowhere and pinned him. I was like, damn. And it also completes the storyline that we've seen of the rise and the fall of, Katsuhiko Okada, in that he's probably now hit rock bottom. He lost to the gentleman that he shouldn't have lost to.
He's hit rock bottom, and he was hit with a rock bottom.
Uh-huh. And I think now we're going to see, White stepping up, and he's going to be a contender for pretty much either top title, and we're going to see Okada finally start slowly but surely rebuilding himself, and we might see these two again down the line and within the next year fighting for the title at the next WrestleKingdom. I can actually see that. And I will say this, up to this point, it was probably the best match of the night for me, and which is saying something, because I did enjoy quite a few of the other matches, but damn it, the Jay White has definitely earned his stripes.
All right. Yeah, he has. No question about it. I'm sorry if I jumped in too early there.
Oh, you're okay, sir.
All right. Well, I want to go ahead and get my thoughts out of the way since, again, you guys know me. I'm the resident Los Ingobernables de Japón mark of the podcast. So, you know that I'm happy that Tetsuya Naito won. But I don't want to presume that everybody else feels the same way. I just want to say that it didn't quite go balls to the wall like Jericho and Omega did when they had their match at Wrestle Kingdom. But by the end, they got there. And by the end, I was happy with it. So, honestly, no problem with the finish, even though it was a belt shot, because it was a no DQ match, so you can't not have a belt shot. There's no rule against it. But then he followed it up with a Destino to end it perfectly. So, my view, 2 thumbs up, but I have the feeling Jason would like to disagree with that.
Oh, I give this like 17 thumbs up. This, going back to Wrestle Kingdom 11, the second to last match of the night on Wrestle Kingdom 11, 12, and here on 13 is no exception. Second to last match of Wrestle Kingdom, steal the show. This was no exception. This was the best match of the night. Everybody else on the card should be taking notes because this is what a Wrestle Kingdom match should be like. This is what it should feel like. I guess I can kind of understand what Stevie's saying about it didn't go to the balls to the wall. I mean, Naito doesn't quite have that, gerbil on crack metabolism that Kenny Omega has. But, oh my God, from the opening bell, Naito went right after Jericho and threw him out of the ring and pile drove him on the entrance ramp. There was that sick spot with that DDT where Jericho planted Naito just flat on the top of his head on that announce table. It was just sick. There was a spot where Jericho throws 8 fucking chairs into the ring and ends up eating a DDT from Naito on them. And then Naito German suplexes Jericho onto 2 of the chairs. I mean, there was some, for what Naito can do and for what Jericho can do, for me, this was balls to the wall for these 2 guys. And I think it's unfair to compare it against Kenny Omega because Kenny Omega just naturally works a faster speed than the Tranquillo gentleman does Tetsuya Naito. But this was match of the night. This was just exceptional. This was amazing. The use of the kendo stick was great too. Seeing Jericho introduce it to the match, but Naito using it to break the Boston Crab, aka the Walls of Jericho. It was just brilliant. There was a reason for it to be a no DQ match. There were chairs that were introduced. There were kendo sticks. It wasn't just, oh yeah, it's a no DQ match, so we're gonna break the rules. They had plunder in the ring. We got to see Naito break out his old finisher of Gloria that almost put Jericho away. And I'm a big fan of seeing wrestlers use their old finisher. I'm a big fan of seeing stolen finishers and false finishes, which is something we didn't get in a lot of matches, but we saw Naito kick out of, not 1, but 2 code breakers in this match. I love seeing that. This is everything that exemplifies what New Japan is. This is everything that exemplifies what a Wrestle Kingdom match was. This was match of the night, and like I said, everybody else on the card should have been taking notes on this match.
And I got to admit, thank you for mentioning something that I didn't, which was Naito hitting Jericho with a code breaker. That wasn't the finish, but damn, it should have been, because that was sweet to see.
Stolen finishers are amazing.
Yes. Will, what did you think?
I think I'm back with my old tag team partner, Jason, again. As much as I hate to admit it, as much as I love the main event, this was the match of the night. If I had to pick a match from New Japan to introduce somebody new to New Japan, and hey, this is what New Japan Wrestling is all about, and this is why it's better than what you're seeing with WWE, this would be that match. This is what a no DQ match should be. Not just hitting somebody with weapons just to hit somebody with weapons. It's everything that's done is for a purpose. From the very get-go, like Jason said, when Naito attacked Jericho, you knew it was not going to be Tranquillo all the way through this match. That DDT spot was gruesome. But not Jason, I don't think that was the most gruesome spot. I think when Jericho had him in the Walls of Jericho and Naito hit him in the side of the head with the kendo stick, it was like, holy
with the cane,
shit.
just over and over again, just whap.
It was just like, holy shit. One of the best things I love about this match is that nobody else in the world takes a cold breaker like Naito does. Everybody else just kind of like bends over and takes it and then bounces back. And Naito actually falls onto the guys like shins and stuff, where it looks like Jericho's pulling him into it. I love the way he sells the code breaker. I love the fact that, like you said, I love the fact that he stole the code breaker from Jericho and used it. This match, like, there's nothing I can say that can really express how much I enjoyed this match. It was amazing. It was the best match of the night. It's already made my list for match of the year.
You know, I don't think we're on separate teams. I think we're all one faction on this one. So if Jonathan disagrees, it's going to be 3-on-1.
No, I'm not going to disagree. This probably was the best match of the night, it was nice to see good old fashioned Chris Jericho. You know, the long hair and just that evil streak that he can get. You know, back when he was early Y2J and some of his work in WCW, and it just, like you said, everything was perfectly hit on every move, every weapon shot, every deal, even that sickening table spot with the DDT. I was just like, holy shit. I mean, I was just like, and like the announcer was like, yeah, and then there's a nice little Naito-sized hole in the table now next to us, and I was just like, damn. And this is one of the reasons why I've become such a big fan of Naito over the last couple of years. He has really won me over. And Jericho stepping it up for a guy who's my age, 47, I'm impressed. This is why I can see him, being considered for, AEW and just all that. And I'm glad that the right person won for the title. Although I do feel sorry for the belt because I have a feeling it's going to go through a remodeling phase again, like the last time when Naito had it.
I'm looking forward to that. The more I see Naito try to destroy it, the better. That's half the fun of him holding it. So let's go full balls to the wall with that, just like this match. But main event time. It's Tanahashi and Kenny Omega. And Kenny Omega lost the IWGP Heavyweight title in a 40-minute match. Jonathan, as our guest, you get to kick off the main event.
All right, I'm going to start this off by saying that I have not watched that many Tanahashi matches, too long. But I also know where people get the stupid Tana, stupid hair, and calling him Cena-Hashi, that kind of thing. And by God, his hair was on perfect, looking to, for the match. I guess the best thing I can say about this match is that it did not seem like a 40-minute match. And I think that is a testament to both performers. I know that Tanahashi can sometimes phone it in, but I also know he is quite capable of some damn good matches because I've seen a couple of the old his matches between him and Okada, and I was like, damn. And I did like, him consistently going after the leg of Omega. And, with the dragon screws. And I was like, holy shit, and so that one that he did where it looked like he bent the guy's, leg into the mat, putting the knee into that. I was just, my leg hurt for Omega. And it was also nice to see the old style cleaner come out of Omega in this match too. Seeing his sadisticness and sarcastic, Bullet Club side come out, and it just showed that both individuals deserve to be on the top of the card. I am going to say that while I kind of halfway knew that Tanahashi was probably going to win the way they've been pushing him, I kind of wish that Omega had managed to win it and retain, but with everything that's going on outside of the deal, I knew that they were going to put it on Tanahashi, and I have really no complaints as long as it either sets up for a rematch with him and Okada sometime during the year, and he can, they space him out just enough to where, maybe give him a little bit of that Brock Lesnar, title reign type thing, where give him enough space in between defenses to where he can actually recover, because I know he's still hurting, and I'm interested to see how this will pan out on his 8th reign. It's not going to be match of the year for me by any means, but it definitely not one of the worst matches that I've ever seen. Especially involving the title at hand. And kudos to Tanahashi for his record 8th, and I hope this reign is like his one good last run, and then maybe he can actually retire his hair in style and get his body to heal. I know that he's like Bionic Man right now.
Yeah, 8th reign for him, 67th reign for the IWGP Heavyweight Crown, the Grand Prix of Wrestling titles. Jason, your turn.
For me, this was like letting the air out of a tire after a very, very underwhelming card to begin with. I mean, this really dropped my interest in New Japan in general, and especially in terms of the IWGP Heavyweight title picture. This was a step backwards. I mean, if I can be fickle, for me, the way the title picture is set up right now, you have Tanahashi, who's too old, and you have Jay White, who is too young. If it was me booking, I would have had Kenny Omega win the title on this match and have him drop it to one of 3 guys on New Year's Dash. He either would have dropped that title to Ishii, he would have dropped it to Naito, or he would have dropped it to Suzuki, because I think those 3 guys can carry the title. Those 3 guys can generate interest in the IWGP title, both in the United States and in Japan and just around the world. But to me, Tanahashi is a move backwards. You're not doing much with Tanahashi. We've been there. We've done that. Same old shit, Tana. Sorry, but you are Tanahashi. You do have those 5 moves of doom, and you brought them out. You had your guitar, you had your sling blade, you had your dragon screw leg whip, and you had your 5-knuckle frog splash that won the match. Hooray.
All that and that high flow through that table, oh my god. Ugh.
Although I did like Omega's great Muda elbow, flashing elbow on Tanahashi. That I liked.
Yeah.
And Chono on commentary was nice too. I don't know if they showed it on the English feed, but on the Japanese feed they made a big deal of Masa Chono being there with the Japanese commentary team. So it was good to see him there. But this match, just much as the whole card did, this was kind of a way to cap off a card that left me flat with a match that left me flat.
But you have to admit, hearing Shinpei Nogami say "High fly!" That's always a highlight.
Stupid Tana, stupid moves.
Okay, I'll save my opinion for last. That means, Will, you are up.
Do I need to say it again that I was right? And do I need to say how much I enjoyed visualizing Jason having a brain aneurysm? Story-wise, this was my favorite match of the night. I told you guys last week that Tanahashi was going to get the title and why I felt like he was going to get the title. And the story that they told in the match was basically this story that I laid out last week, that Tanahashi was the old gunslinger that was basically like, hey, I have one more run in me, and come hell or high water, I'm going to prove to this kid that I have what it takes to be here. I actually really, really enjoyed this match. For this match, I was able to step back from being a wrestler and just enjoy this match as a fan because I knew it was not going to be a technical masterpiece. I knew that it was going to be very limited as far as athletics go. I knew there was not going to be any crazy spots like we saw with Kenny Omega last year with Chris Jericho. So I was able to step back and just be a fan for this match. I think that they did an amazing job telling the story. I love the fact that Kenny Omega was very cocky. I like that he was very arrogant, as almost a heel in the match. It's like, hey, Tanahashi, I don't know why you're even in the ring with me. Like, you know who I am. And Tanahashi just fight back and chipping away. When it comes to Tanahashi's 5 moves of doom, I really enjoy the fact that he's one of the very few guys in professional wrestling that can use a dragon corkscrew whip and make it believable, that he can do it from so many different angles. I love the fact that he decided to work Kenny Omega's legs and stuff. There was a couple of V-triggers. There was not as many V-triggers in this match as usual for a Kenny Omega match, but the ones that he did hit looked very legit. But overall, I really enjoyed this match. I felt like Tanahashi winning was the best way to close the show, and I have no serious complaints about it. Like I said, I just love it because I know that Jason's head exploded when it happened.
Okay, so that makes it my turn. Now, everybody knows that if they listened to this show last week, and those of you who were either here or listening to it know that I wanted Kenny Omega to retain and be the future of New Japan and be the guiding light leading them forward into their global conquest. Those hopes were dashed by this finish. So I could be salty about that, or I could look at the fact that they had a 40-minute match, it was the main event of a WrestleKingdom show, and it was a good story. It was not the story I wanted, and I'm trying so hard not to be salty about that. I really am. But does that mean it was a bad story just because it wasn't the story I wanted? I have to try to be objective about that. And I have to try to see the bigger picture. They didn't do this by accident. They didn't put Tanahashi in this position of winning the G1 Climax and having his one last run before he rides off into the sunset without a purpose. And Kenny Omega, if he's going to All Elite Wrestling, he had to do the honors here. He couldn't walk into All Elite as the Grand Prix champion. However...
Please go to WWE. Please go to WWE.
However, there is the part in the back of my mind that is thinking to myself, if this was a long-term plan, just like they had with Omega feuding with Okada over and over until he finally beat him, we could see this done at the ROH G1 Super Show in New York City. If All Elite can work out this relationship, then we can have a world title defense where Omega beats Tanahashi at the G1 Super Show at Madison Square Garden and then defends the New Japan title in All Elite. If they can work out that relationship.
If he doesn't go to WWE.
I don't think there's enough money under the sun to lure Kenny Omega in.
Which I kind of like to see at this point. I mean, at this point, I really don't want to see them hammer out a relationship because I really don't want to see Cody and the Young Bucks and Kenny in New Japan. Yeah, I'd rather just see that entire influence disappear and have New Japan get back to being New Japan.
Well, you know what? Since we're already there, I'm just going to close it on this note. I don't hate this match. It's not what I wanted, and it does leave me on a sour note for Wrestle Kingdom 13, but I feel like with time and with more appreciation, if I watch it again later on down the road, I'm going to go, this was good. I didn't want it, but it is a fitting main event, if not the main event I came for. I feel like it will get better with age. And with that said, you don't have to worry about seeing any of those people ever in New Japan, at least full time, because now the All Elite Wrestling roster has been revealed thanks to the rally they held in Jacksonville this week. And here is the full breakdown of talent signed as of the recording of this podcast. We have Shima, Chris Jericho, Christopher Daniels, Cody, Lindemann, Kazarian, Hangman Page, Joey Janela, Matt Jackson, MJF, Nick Jackson, Pac, Scorpio Sky, Takehiro Yamamura, T-Hawk, and on the female wrestler roster, only 3 talents so far, Brandy Rhodes, Britt Baker, and Penelope Ford. Working backstage, we have Billy Gunn as a producer, BJ Whitmer in a role not yet disclosed, and I guess Dana Massey and Jeff Jones, but I have no idea what either one of them is doing either. Somebody can jump in now.
So you're basically getting ROH without Sinclair.
I don't know. I mean, you could say that, but you don't
See,
have...
To me, the big coup that they need to work out, that All Elite would really need to work out in order to be something other than ROH without Sinclair, or to be something other than just, anher indie-rific indie, like Impact used to be, the biggest little indie. They really need to hammer something out with one or more companies in either or both Mexico and Japan.
Well, it seems like they're going that way with Dragon Gate, with both Shima and Pac being involved. So I feel like they haven't actually said there's a working relationship with Dragon Gate, but I feel like there is.
But if you want to go that way, or see if you can steal guys from Dragon Gate, see if you can steal guys from All Japan. I mean, see if you can, cut into some of the market that New Japan might be looking to tap. Do that. Go after guys from All Japan. Go after guys from DDT.
Honestly, though, I think the bigger factor here is not whether they're Ring of Honor without Sinclair. I think they need to be bigger than that. I think Chris Jericho wouldn't, he as much said he wouldn't sign with them if they didn't have TV. And we don't know where that TV is, but it's got to be bigger than Sinclair.
Well, it's bigger than Twitch, which Impact got.
I think that you guys are missing the big story with Jericho signing is the fact that Jericho has said on not only his podcast, but several other podcasts, that he would never work for any other promoter in America besides Vince McMahon. And the fact that he has went back on his word and signed with AEW is huge.
Well, he went from one billionaire to another. He went from billionaire Vince to billionaire Tony.
Yes, but I'm just saying he has repeatedly said that, like, he would never work for any other promoter in America besides Vince McMahon because he had that much gratitude for what Vince did to his career. And it turns around 2019 to get things signed with AEW. I think another thing is that as far as the roster goes, I think that they've done a good job of building a core group of guys. My only problem with the team that they've signed so far is, what are you going to do as far as underneath guys go? What are you going to do as far as opening match guys go? You can't have an all-in show every freaking show. You've got to have what's called in the business. You've got to have some $5 guys that can just take a beating and look bad. So what are you going to do as far as?
Are you saying they should sign Freight Train?
They should definitely sign Freight Train. They should, for the money they're giving away, they could sign me and I'll lose every damn show. I'll be the Brooklyn Brawler. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. I'll lose every match. I don't give a shit. Also, my other big concern about AEW is that none of these guys has a background in building talent and building stars. So that's my biggest concern with this company. Is the fact is, like, you already have established names. You have established indie guys. You have a former WWE World Heavyweight Champion. You have former New Japan champions. You have guys that wrestle all around the world.
World champions. You got world champions from every organization.
Yes. Now, what are you going to do as far as building up talent for the next 5 to 10 years? Where are you going to get this new talent from? Are you going to start your own developmental system? There's so many questions that haven't been answered. And I don't know if they've really, I'm not going to say they haven't thought it through, because obviously they've probably thought it through, but there's so many other questions that have to be answered about before we can even say, are they going to be a major player on the professional wrestling scene or not? Being a major player is bigger than just signing a couple of big-time legends and former world champions and getting a billionaire backer, because we saw how that went with WCW and Billionaire Ted. It's about, can you build talent? Can you make your own stars? And do you have a system in place to replace talent when they get hurt?
Well, I think, though, the comparison to Billionaire Ted is kind of apt, because sometimes money talks, and that's all you really need to get TV and get exposure, is to have that kind of money. And whether or not they have every tool in place that WWE does, or that Ring of Honor does, or New Japan does, they can fill those pieces in by just dipping into Tony Khan's pocket.
Yes, but sooner or later, the company has to become self-sufficient. It has to make money on its own. It can't always dip into this billionaire's pockets, which was the biggest downfall of WCW, is that it stopped making money on its own, and you just kept having the parent company pay for everything. This company has to become self-sufficient really quick, or because if not, the professional wrestling world is going to call it a failure. Once again, I think that there's too many unanswered questions before we can actually start acting like AEW is really going to change the world.
Well, it may not change the world, but it's definitely going to change the universe. That was a nice little dig by Jericho, if I might say so.
I think they did a good job. I don't know how Jason. I don't know. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jordan.
So I was going to say it was. I also thought it was telling that apparently that night SmackDown they were turning away people that were wearing AEW stuff, and so that right there is a good sign that they've already kind of made Vince and company just a little bit nervous. So
well, initially they did, and then they rescinded that because they got some heat for it on social media, and then the security guards changed their mind and was like, nope, come on in, you can wear it.
That's good, because that was kind of ridiculous. I was like, come on now.
Especially when Cody Rhodes capitalized on it the moment they started turning people away. And whether you like Cody or not, kudos to him for being the guy to pounce on it and be like, yeah, Jacksonville is a soft market for WWE. You can't afford to turn fans away. I was like, oh, he just burned them good.
I will say real quick, I think they've got a good stronghold so far. I mean, yes, they're going to need to get a little bit more talent signed, and I agree they need to get I can't talk. Developmental, yeah, situated. And I think I heard they were supposed to be, ironically, getting a show started on either TBS or TNT. I can't remember, but I think I could have sworn I heard something like that in the last day or two. And that would be kind of all sorts of ironic,
Yeah, that really would make him the new Ted Turner. It would be Tony Turner instead of Ted Turner.
Yep. And I'm liking the talent they've signed, and I'm glad that they're going with getting people from OEW, the Oriental Wrestling. OW, I can't remember what they're called, but I know I just found them on YouTube, and I'm going to try to watch them. And they're tapping into that.
You're talking about the group Cody mentioned during the press conference from China.
Yeah, and I've downloaded a episode off of YouTube, so I'm going to try to watch that and see how well that might go for them. So all I know is I'm delirious that the booking will be better than ROH. That's all I know.
You're delirious.
Sorry, I had
I'm
to
gonna go
slip
ahead
that in.
Stevie, I'm gonna go ahead and say it now. I'm gonna go ahead and make the prediction now that Kushida sides with AEW.
You think he's going to AEW instead of WWE?
I think that he's going to go to AEW. I really do. I think that he's looked at what's happened with other Japanese wrestlers in WWE, specifically Nakamura, and I think that he realized that he's still going to have fun. He's still be in charge of he's still going to have some kind of somewhat creative control over his character and his gimmick. And I think that he's very comfortable with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega in them. So I think that he's going to end up signing with AEW, which, in my opinion, may be a bigger coup than them signing Chris Jericho.
Well, the next 2 to 3 weeks are going to be really interesting because some New Japan talent contracts expired at the Tokyo Dome or right around that time, and some don't expire till the end of the month. So in the next few weeks, we're going to get a lot of power moves between AEW and WWE trying to sign these guys that are floating in the ether.
Yeah, we've got, I think, three contracts expiring in WWE, I think, at the end of this month, involving Nakamura and the club.
Oh, yeah, and AJ Styles, they've all but admitted that he is, holding all the cards right now. He is in the catbird seat because he can demand as much money from any of these people as they want and immediately be their ace.
Uh-huh. This is getting interesting, and even then, just for that, I'm happy to see that because it's getting people talking, it's getting people to speculate, and I also think it's giving WWE some much needed kick in the pants for potential competition.
Oh yeah,
they really need.
And Will has said this before.
Yeah,
no, I'm sorry, Jonathan, I didn't mean to cut in, but Will has said
go
this,
ahead.
And I agree with Will, and I agree with you that this is the best for the boys. And by boys, I mean boys and girls. I mean everybody of every gender. It's great because the competition...
Here I thought you were talking about Dalton Castle's boys.
Them too, because this competition is great for everybody. If more money is out there to be had, everybody wins. All the talent win.
Oh, definitely. You're about to see, I think that once again, you're about to see an incredible influx of everybody getting signed, of anybody who is somewhat good or great when it comes to professional wrestling on the indies. Everybody's about to get a contract all of a sudden. we're about to leave the phase where guys are getting paid based on appearance, and we're about to enter the era of where everybody has a contract once again. You're going to see everybody and anybody who is somewhat talented from all areas of the world getting contracts, because there's so many players now on the stage that can offer money. Now, and once again, we're seeing guys turning down contracts with WWE to go to other places because they realize that might not be a good fit for them.
And what we're also seeing is people who got locked into long-term deals waiting them out so they can go somewhere else. Like Piper Niven, Viper. She is just waiting for her World of Sport contract to run out so she can sign with either AEW or WWE.
I think I saw today where it said that she was definitely going to sign with WWE.
Well, to me, that's just like Kushida is definitely going to sign with WWE. It's like all up in the air right now. Like, you might have that arrow pointing in that direction, but if AEW makes a better offer, who knows?
Now, I got a question I'm going to present to Jason, because I feel like Jason might have the best answer for this. Jason, do you think with all these different people, contracts being expired, people signing new contracts, do you think it should be based more on money or friendship? Do you think that now is a good time to be friends with somebody more than just handing them a paycheck?
I think it's going to be based more on friendships, because I think the money is going to be pretty much on par if you're talking about AEW versus WWE. I think what you're looking at is friendships, especially in terms of, are you friends with the owners? Are you friends with the bookers? How are you going to be used? Because I think that's going to boil, because I think the playing field has now been pretty much leveled with money. What's going to happen is, how happy are you going to be in the company? How well are you going to be used in the company?
Right, which makes the name All Elite Wrestling apt, because not only do they want elite level talent, they also want their friends from the elite. So if you're friends with those guys, you got a good chance of being in there.
Yeah. And
well, we definitely saw that.
Well, go ahead, Jonathan.
I was just my brain just farted anyway. I apologize. Go ahead, Mr. Huckabee.
I was going to say, as far as what you were just saying, I feel like we're going to see a bunch of people who weren't signed to a contract that was in All In. They're about to get signed. I feel that with WWE prematurely freaking out at the beginning of their show, not letting people in with AEW shirts, I think that they made a huge mistake by kind of showing their hand and showing. And I'm
not laughing because you're wrong. I'm laughing because you're right.
Yes, like usually Vince really plays his cards close to the chest. And I think that he prematurely showed his hand and showed that he's worried about AEW. And I don't know if it's because of who's involved with the company. I don't know if it's because Jericho's signed, or if it's because they're also backed by a billionaire. WWE has been sitting and resting on their laurels for years now and just giving fans what they think they want instead of what the fans actually want. And I think that it's going to be a huge problem for them to turn the boat around so fast. WWE has admitted as much
to not giving the fans what they wanted, because WWE said, yeah, we know, but we'll do better. We're going to give you what you want, which, reading between the lines, is Vince McMahon admitting, yeah, I've been not giving you what you wanted intentionally.
And then but I think that now No, it's sorry, but he doesn't give people what they want. He makes a farce of it. He says he's going to give people what they want, and then he just keeps pushing the same shit.
What you want is more McMahons, right?
And what you want is more hulked up guys like Lars.
Yeah.
Like I said, they're gonna have a very hard time turning the boat around and actually being viable competition if AEW, if they do things correctly. And they literally give the fans what they want as far as matchups, as far as styles of wrestling, as far as, price range and availability of their stars. It's going to be very hard for WWE to be able to compete with that. This may, once again, and I'm not, predicting anything. I'm just looking at if everything goes right with AEW, and let's say that AEW has a working relationship with Dragon Gate and All Japan and New Japan, this may be the closest that we may ever see to seeing Vince McMahon run out of the business.
I don't think Vince McMahon can be run out of the business at this point.
No, I don't think so either. I think at this point, the thing WWE has it going is for the general public. I mean, for wrestling marks like us, for smart fans, whatever you want to call them, AEW is great. But for Joe Sixpack in Arkansas, WWE is synonymous with wrestling. They don't know anything but WWE.
Not to mention they've got a $2 billion war chest between getting $1.2 billion from USA Network and another $800 million from Fox. They're not going anywhere.
For the record, Jason, I'm still in that phrase, Joe Sixpack from Alabama. I'm still in that phrase.
I think he said Joe Sixpack from Arkansas.
Whatever, Arkansas, Alabama, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing.
Tell that to an Arkansas fan like Frank Vaughn, and you're going to be in big trouble.
Well, when you drive through Arkansas, it's just like driving through Alabama. They both smell like shit. It's okay.
Okay, now you're pissing off the Bama fans. Roll Tide.
Yeah, I don't care. Whatever. Go Clemson.
Oklahoma fans okay, so hey.
Yeah, well, we got the Boomer Sooner here, right here, Jonathan Cornwright. What do you have to say about that?
I say go Clemson.
I'm just saying. Hey, as long as Clemson kicked the shit out of Alabama, I was happy.
I think a lot of people were. I think that
Football ended in November when the Calgary Stampeders won the Grey Cup. That's all I have to say about that.
Of course. Jason brings it back to the CFL. We're not surprised.
I swear.
Well, on that note, we should go ahead and do our cheap plugs, because I don't think we can say any more about All Elite until we find out where they're going to be on TV. So it's all up in the air until then. So, Jonathan, you're our guest. You get to make your cheap plug first.
All right. Well, I am a co-host of a long-running comic book podcast of the Mighty Warriors 3 Marvel podcast. You can find us on, we're kicking all sorts of Asgard, on the internet. We are at the Mighty Warriors 3 WordPress.com for downloading the podcast. We cover everything that Marvel does, toys, porn, maybe, depending on what one of my hosts can find. If it's Marvel, we do it. I also want to plug NewJapanWorld.com, the best 999 yen you can spend a month. I've been telling people left and right to, try it out. It's better than what you're getting for $9.99 a month with the Vince McMahon Network. And I also would like to plug Slam, Pro Slam, Power. God, you know what I'm talking about.
Powerslam.tv, $5.99 a month.
Yeah. And, I'm still in the middle of my free month, and while I have not had a chance to watch as much as I would like, what I have watched, it is definitely would be worth the $5.99 a month, because you get 3 or 4 times the federations that you get on the Vince McMahon Network, and it's equal to New Japan's considerable output. And give it a try. You'll find something you like on there.
Absolutely.
And that's all for me.
Yes, and to further that note, if you use the keyword AngryMarks in the coupon line when you check out, your first month is entirely free, just like Jonathan's enjoying right now. So try it out at Powerslam.tv. That's my cheap plug. Jason, what's yours?
Well, since Jonathan took my New Japan World one, what I'll just do for my cheap plug is give a confession. A confession that I have. With Mean Gene Okerlund dying, I have felt so bad, because with Mean Gene dying, all I've been able to think about is Scheme Gene on the Hotline from the Billionaire Ted sketches and him dancing around with the gobbledygooker. So that's my confession. I'm sorry, Mean Gene. I know you had a long storied career, but since you're passing, that's all that's been on my mind. So yeah, definitely check out the gobbledygooker, and definitely check out the Billionaire Ted sketches in deference to Mean Gene Okerlund passing away. And check me out on Twitter. I'm at Great Sudoku, and check out the podcast here on the Angry Marks Network.
There are very few reasons I would ever plug the WWE Network, but if you do have it, go watch some of those classic Mean Gene Okerlund interviews, especially the ones from the mid-1980s, whether they were AWA or WWF. He was pure gold. he made so many wrestlers better just with his presence on the mic and the way he conducted interviews. He always made everybody look like $1,000,000. And his interactions with Roddy Piper are some of the most hilarious things you will ever watch in the wrestling business. On that note, William, what do you have to plug?
First of all, I would say a huge thank you to Spinebuster Championship Wrestling down in Valdosta, Georgia. I was at the show last night, Wednesday night show, which is unheard of most of the time if you're not Vince McMahon. They drew 497 people, not including comps. It was an amazing show. I will actually be starting to work with them very soon, so check them out on Facebook. Every week, listen to me and Mika on the Wrestling Nerdcast. This week, we just had Georgia manager and critic Rico Rodriguez in a very shoot-style interview. Next week, we'll have Evolve/FIP star Logan Creed on the podcast. Follow me on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, I have it. Tomorrow, I will be in Fort Valley, Georgia, defending my National Syndicate Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. And then Sunday is the first AWE Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment has now changed its name to Combat Entertainment. The first ever Combat Entertainment show. And it'll be myself versus longtime rival / former best friend and tag team partner, Joe Black. You've seen him on ROH and NXT and WWE. We're going to beat the piss out of each other, so I'll probably end up calling out of work Monday.
All right, something to look forward to, you and Joe Black. And be sure to check out the Marvel podcast that Jonathan's on as well. Be sure to check out New Japan World and Power Slam TV. So many good things that you can check out here. But most of all, we thank you for checking out Thursday Night AMP. Just like our friend Joe Myers, wherever he is in the world right now, listening to us in distant lands and appreciating what we have to say about professional wrestling. We do it for the people like you, Joe. Salute to you. Thank you for listening, and good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.